This is I Testify with Rachel at Kunda, a channel where we share life-changing testimonies on restoration, on hope, all for the glory of God. Welcome to today's episode. I'm very excited. Our guest today is a very, very special one. One, because she's our very first guest on this channel. Then secondly, her and I have never met physically, but yet we've interacted on Instagram, we have talked, we have prayed together, we have, done all these things together. I'll let her introduce herself and then we'll get it started.
Hi, my name is Sandra Musiimenta. I am a wife, I am a mother, I am an entrepreneur, but above all, I'm a child of God. Mine is a story, mine is a testimony, mine is a message of hope, mine is that light at the end of the tunnel that they always talk about. And I am glad to be here. Rachel, thank you. It's an honor to be the first guest. And I pray that this message will impact so many lives out there. Hope is on the way.
So just share with us, where does it all start? Where does it begin?
I'll take you as far back as my childhood. I grew up from what I would call a very ordinary family. I had very loving parents. My mom passed away in 2002. May her soul rest in peace. I have an amazing dad. By the way, I want to say a big thank you to single fathers out there. If you're being intentional, you're doing an amazing job. We hardly talk about these men. I was raised by a very, very amazing dad. Oh wow, I've seen you with your dad. And I have 6 siblings. I went to what they would call the best schools back in the day, Nakasero Primary School.
We are twins.
Oh wow. This is that's so divine.
Okay, I didn't finish, but I was there.
Okay, yes, so you're my OG as well. And life was smooth, if for lack of a better word. Life was smooth. We had a good life growing up, and I was privileged, honestly. Yeah, I want to say I grew up from a very privileged family. And why I mention this is because there are certain things in life that society imagines or thinks that they can never happen to a privileged child who has
everything.
Exactly. How would they go wrong? Yeah, but all was well until I joined secondary. I had been in primary all through, in day school, and then when I got to secondary, I went into boarding, so it was my first time.
Okay.
And my first senior one, I was at St. Mary's Chitende.
Okay.
I remember I used to be very tiny, and my dad would worry, will you manage? Do you really have to go to boarding school? But I started. I went to St. Mary's Chitende, and life was new. Yeah, and unfortunately, I will also say this because I don't want to say that the shortcomings that happened in my life were because I lost my mom, but it's very unfortunate that she passed away at a time where any girl child would want to have a mother.
And you see, it's interesting, you say your mom passed on in 2002, mine passed on in 2001.
So we have a lot in common.
I know, right?
Yeah. So my mom passed away in 2002 and I was joining senior 2. We all know that age. Now I'm a mother to teenagers. Yeah, and it's sad that I even started preparing myself mentally that I'm waiting for when these children are in senior 2. God help me, I'm scared. Yeah, so she passed away when I was in senior 2. And I am one of those children who used to cling on my mom so much. I don't know if it's just me, but life can never be the same once you've lost your parent, not just a mother. And being that child who used to cling so much on her, I used to be a very fragile little girl. life took a whole different direction. I will not say that I was mistreated. I will not say that food had run out. No, if anything, my dad did more than he was supposed to fill in the gap, for us not to feel like, oh, if mommy was here. And then my mom's family, who I am more close to, my maternal aunties, they played an amazing role. But I need you to know that there's so much your auntie will do for you, but she will never reach where mommy can reach. Yes. There's so much you will interact with her, but you will never freely open up like you would with mommy. Yeah. So I can also not blame them for my shortcomings. They did amazing. They did, and to date, they're still the most amazing grandparents to my children. Yeah. But long story short, my mom passes away in 2002. Then life is different. I have so many questions. I become lonely. And I go looking for love in all the wrong places. But
you also mentioned you were 6 children. So where were your siblings?
My siblings, I am. It's funny to admit, but it's not a secret. I'm closer to my young sister. I have one young sister, then the rest are older than me.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So they were also, I think, in shock and
yeah, everyone was dealing with their own emotions.
Yes. Yeah. And the one I would have clinged onto was my little sister. And it's sad to note, but she stepped in and became the fighter in school. I remember you say something about Sandra, me and you, and for her she was more chubby than me. So she has been that person. Sometimes I am confused, is she my young sister, am I the big sister?
Yes.
But I have learned to be vulnerable with her. I have learned so much from her. It has taken courage to let myself, let your young sister
honestly, we are twins.
I'm telling you.
My young sister is that to me as well. I think I've shared with you.
Yes, a bit
my
of
young
it.
sister who prays for me, prays with me.
I seek advice from my sister. She's better with finances.
Wow.
And from someone looking on the outside, they would be like, that makes you dumb, or that makes you lazy, or that. But I have accepted her like that. And sometimes she asks me, am I being too much? Am I acting like a parent? Yet I'm supposed to be a sister.
Yeah.
And she's such a good communicator. She has helped me on the journey of communication.
Wow. Thank you, sister.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. So I became, first of all, me growing up, I was not that child who was open. Okay. I think I've had trust issues all my life. Yeah, so I used to keep a lot to myself. Now, to make matters worse, the one person that would have played that role of helping me, I now really, really closed in. Oh. You would never know what Sandra is up to. She would just be there. You don't know if she's smiling because she's happy or she's covering. And I've struggled with that.
Because of the death of your mom?
Yes. Okay. I soaked myself into me. Yeah, I felt like now I have no one. And no matter how anyone would convince me, we are here for you, we love you, I always had that, no, I think I'm now on my own. Yeah, so I went looking for love as a young girl in all the wrong places.
If you don't mind, how old were you at this point?
Senior 3.
Senior 3?
Yeah, okay. Senior 3. I was in senior 3. And I need to use this platform to speak to parents out there.
Yeah.
If you're not your child's go-to person, she's going to find someone to go to. It's sad to note, and the world lately is unfriendly.
Oh.
Yeah, I think back in the day it was better.
Much better.
Yeah, so what you don't sit down and talk to your child about, Facebook will do the job, Instagram will help you, TikTok will help
Snapchat.
you. Exactly. So I went looking for love in the wrong places, and I surely found lust in the wrong places. And I also want to note that I blame no one. Yeah, I will not sit here and say someone used me, even when sometimes I've shared this story and someone's like, yes, because they were older than you. No, I think I should have, or maybe it has also given me that position of self-condemnation. Why didn't I see it coming? Why didn't I tell that this was wrong and this was right.
It's also nice to acknowledge that.
I've grown over time, and I've come to
Yes.
accept that I blame no one. There is surely no one to blame. So I get my first boyfriend, and the first time I had sexual intercourse is the first time I got pregnant. Now here is a girl who comes from a well-to-do family, goes to a very nice school. Those kids that are never chased for school fees, those kids that bring cornflakes, you remember those days? And then this very girl, you hear that she has got pregnant and she's in school. I got pregnant in 2005. I was in senior 5. Help me understand. What was she looking for? What was she lacking? How nice was that guy to convince her? Because you would expect she knew better. She's exposed. She even has bigger siblings. Yeah. And it's also unfortunate that back in the day, talking about sex and all those things was
a taboo.
I keep telling my children, and I'm so glad that God has given me a chance through my children to reparent myself. I sit back and I'm like, at 13, what would I have wanted someone to tell me? So when my kids got to 13, I sat them down and it's been a challenge, but we're trying. And I'm proud of myself.
At least
I am really trying.
At least,
So I get pregnant, and my family was so bitter, but as a young girl, I thought, oh, now they hate me. Oh, now they are segregating me. But until I became a parent, I realized, like, this girl has just lost her mother. Now the whole world knows we are the ones taking care of her. Then that very moment is when she gets pregnant. That shows that we're not doing a good job. And if there's someone, when a teenager gets pregnant, it's easy for people to victimize her and put the attention on her. But I need the world to know that you should also pray for their parents. Rachel, we are now parents. Imagine how you go to bed when there's small talk. That one's daughter.
I know.
Imagine.
I know. So why wouldn't your parents also react the way they did?
Exactly. Now that I've grown and seen things, I now know why.
So at that point, you were not understanding why they were reacting the way they were.
I was bitter. I felt like I'm the black sheep of the family. And of course,
what did you expect?
Exactly. And our parents, they would not sugarcoat things. Like, you're an embarrassment, you're a shame. You will never make it in life. And me, now that I'm a Christian, I would never say that to my child, because over time you see your confessions coming to life. But it came from a place of disappointment. It came from a place of hurt. I did not expect them to throw me a party. Wow, well done, So I get pregnant, and of course, this one I say it for the young girls out there to know, Mr. X will never take responsibility. When Mr. X sits down to write down a list of requirements for his future wife, I don't see a teenage mother being one of them. So immediately you're off his list. It's a hard reality that young girls never see until you've arrived there. So he doesn't want to be part of it. It's your cross to carry, and of course, along with your family. And I went through humiliation. I went through shame. I keep telling people, there's nothing that can embarrass me now.
Because you've been through
nothing, Rachel. Nothing. There's nothing someone can say. I had someone say this about you, and then nothing. A lot was said.
At your tender age.
I got to a point where even someone who has nothing to say feels like they're in position to talk about Sandra. Why? Because she deserves to be talked about. Long story short, I had my firstborn. I had to go through a C-section. But I was given very good care. And he was born with club foot. Because I think of the position in the stomach. He was born with club foot.
Your uterus hadn't, like...
Yes, and he was big and very squeezed in the stomach. So the legs swelled. Yeah, and until sometime back when I was doing a research on club foot, so many people that you see on the streets that are lame were actually born with club foot. Yeah, if it's not
So it's
rectified early. So for me, that is another testimony because it's amazing that his favorite hobbies is and sport is football. I keep asking God, like of all things, you had to use the crippled legs.
I know,
that is God. Yeah.
Thank God. Just to get back there, you mentioned about your dad.
Yeah.
How was it like sharing this information with your dad? How did he receive it?
That takes me back to what I just said. If you ever find yourself in that predicament, always pray for the parent. To date, I can't imagine what my dad went through. I cannot imagine among his peers, and if anything, he's one.
Oh, Sandra.
He's one of the reasons I have pushed myself every single day to do better. To get to that point where someone says, Sandra did something nice. Yeah, so that for once he gets that badge of well done, Dad. Yeah. So
I'm sure he's proud of you now.
yeah, he tells me when he looks at his grandchildren, and yeah, he is. I don't want to say it's easy to I was young, but I don't know how I fell into this love nest or lust or whatever I can call it. But before I know it, my family is still puzzled. We're still figure A and B. I get pregnant with my second child.
Wow.
In that moment, it's confusion.
Like after a year or
a year.
Like
exactly a year.
Oh.
Because I think in that year is when I should have gone back to school.
Okay, sorry. So what happened to school when you got pregnant?
I left school. Yeah, I left school. I was in my senior 5. I left
and
school.
And also, sorry.
It's okay.
So were you given an option of keeping the child or not?
Yes,
when you got
I was
pregnant?
Yes, I was, and I remember the doctor telling me that that's your decision. No one can make that decision for you.
Okay.
And I said, let me go and sleep over it. I'll have a decision the next morning. Honestly, Rachel, I did not sleep over it. I had made up my mind I'm going to have this child.
The moment you found out?
I had made up my mind.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember one of my aunties telling me, are you comfortable staying with me, or I can take you to a friend? And by the way, God bless that auntie. She really considered the fact of the shame, because I used to stay with my auntie and we are very extended family, like 12 cousins in a home.
Okay.
Yeah, and she was like, Sandra, if you're not comfortable, I have a very good friend who passed away, by the way. You can go stay with her. After you've had your baby, you can come back. I told her, no, I'm okay. I'll stay here. Yeah. In a house full of siblings.
Yeah.
That beginning of term, they are getting ready to go to school.
You're home.
You're home.
With your baby.
Yeah, I still don't know where I got that courage from, but it happened.
Yeah.
So in that confusion and all that mix, I am pregnant with my second child. Looking back, I say that was God, but for any parent, really, you should have given up on me. Yeah.
Especially, I mean, it's so soon.
And where is the lesson? She did not learn.
Yeah.
Or, okay, is it our fault that we enabled her the first time? We've given her comfort ground for her to feel like, oh, I can have babies and do this and do that. So I also understand.
What took you back to
getting back into it? That's why I've said I still don't know how I found myself back into it. And some things are hard to explain. You only look at them from a different angle once you are a Christian, honestly. But they are very hard to explain. So I'm expecting my second child. And before I could know what my family was thinking of me, before I could even hear their judgment, I sat myself down and I remember condemning myself. Like if there's a devil, then me, I'm something else. And I said, there's no way I can associate myself with this family again. Like, this is too much shame. This is too much to put anyone through. My dad. Yeah, like what is this? So I ran away from home when I was about 4 months before you could tell that I was pregnant. I ran away from home and I left
So this time you hadn't told anyone. I
just left.
And left the baby with them.
I left my son with my godmother. She actually, they share a name. She gave him his second name. And I left not with this of I'm leaving to sort this out, I'll be back, or I'm leaving because I feel I cannot belong here. I left with I am leaving to find a way of ending my life. Yeah. I left with this shame is too heavy for me to carry. I should go down with it. I left with that guilt conscience of after I've had this child, what next? What kind of parent am I going to be to this child? I left with so many things on me, very heavy. And I promise you, Rachel, for me, life was not an option anymore. I was looking for any way out, the easiest way out, to call it quits. I slept in churches, I slept on the street. I don't know how I would get a meal.
To think that the privilege you had,
like you have a whole bed to yourself, a whole bedroom to yourself at home. Wow. And you're sleeping in churches, you're sleeping on the streets, you're wondering what you're going to eat today. But I didn't even have a bag.
At this point you don't have the option of I want my child.
No, I want to end my life.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I am looking for a way. And I want to believe that whole time I was sleeping in churches and moving from one place to another, I think it was God protecting me. I can't explain it any other way. It was God protecting me. And to be honest, I slept on the street. So tell me.
Our ever-present help.
It was God protecting me.
Yeah.
And I went on from 1 month to another. Of course, my family looked for me, I think, for a while.
Yeah.
My godmother is one person. She's not my godmother, she's my mother. She will never give up on me, even when the world sits and says, this girl is the stain. She'll be like, bring that stain, let it stain me. So she would, everywhere I would pass, they would be like, your mother is looking for you, she's having sleepless nights, your family is wondering where you are. Of course, I know along the way some gave up.
Yeah.
Come on, you've given.
But also, at least now the family knew you were there because certain people were seeing.
Yes, I would meet people randomly and they would be like, she knows home. When the time is right, she will come. Or whatever happens to her. Yeah, you know, as a parent, you get to that point of frustration and you're like, God, we've done our part.
Yeah.
Let her be. And I went around. I remember one time I went to Mutundwe Christian Church. Why I went there, a pastor directed me there because they used to have a big house where people would sleep in church. They would accommodate you. Yeah, so he was like, if you're looking for somewhere where you can spend that day and find somewhere to sleep, that's the place to go. So I will not say that I was also sleeping in churches because I was looking for God. I will be lying.
You are just looking for
somewhere, shelter and somewhere where maybe I would be judged less. Yeah, although a point in time came and I would feel like I also don't belong here.
So you would not bathe?
Nothing. So actually, the one thing I remember, I had a very big maroon scarf that I would cover up. So from afar, you would hardly tell. And I was small. That pregnancy was really small.
So how long were you away from home?
I think for about 3 months.
What?
Yeah, for about 3 months. Until that time when I was in Mutundu, I think I had been there like for 3 days. So this one random day, we're having overnight fellowship, and then a friend of mine notices me. I went to school with her, and she comes and sits next to me. Oh, hi Sandra, hi. Wow. I don't know if she could tell that I was pregnant. I don't know if she saw something and felt like something is wrong with her. But all I remember is that she said, can we go, I buy you a meal? And I was like, yeah, what made her think I didn't have money? Or what about me showed that there was something wrong? So Irene takes me to the canteen. I had a decent meal after a very long time.
I can imagine.
A very long
Why
time.
you've been feeding on those days?
Random things. There's a lady outside Prayer Palace, Chibuye, who used to give me a cup of porridge and bread for free every day.
Indeed, God's hand was on
I'm
you.
telling you, Rachel. And I had never told her my story. I'd never told her I've run away from home. Nothing. And this is the first time I'm openly sharing these things, because my family doesn't know what happened the time I was not home.
Oh.
Yeah, because when I went back home, my dad said, don't tell. We're not going to ask you.
We've just received
Yeah,
you.
that's
Okay.
all. So no one has ever had
So
this.
at that point when you went back home, did your dad then know that you were expecting again?
He had everyone.
Oh, he
yeah,
had
it was
now it
around
was
town,
obvious.
and yes. Oh, she ran away, and now guess what? She's even having her second child. Yeah, like for her, it's done. So Irene buys me a meal. After I have this meal, she's like, why don't you come and spend a night at my place? Then, just like that, I had not told Irene anything. So she used to stay in Chikoni. Yeah, she was at campus. She was finalizing with campus and trying to secure to go abroad. By the way, she finally left. We used to go to the prayer mountain to specifically pray for that. So I go to Irene's place. I sleep there, and this girl never asks. She wakes up in the morning. She's like, I've gone. Food is there. I've left you some money. Okay. And then for a person like me who has struggled with communication, who was afraid of accountability, who always ran away from certain conversations, I was really happy that Irene never sat me down to say, Sandra, what's going on?
Aww.
Nothing. Nothing.
Sometimes you don't need anyone asking you questions.
So we go on 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I think I lived with her for about 3 weeks or a month. So because she would be away and leave me in this room alone, I would try to get Christian literature. She used to like watching, I think those days it was LTV.
Yes.
So one time I'm watching LTV, and Pastor Jessica Kayanja is preaching. And she has a ministry called Girl Power. I got to know it through the television. And she's like, every Tuesday we have counseling for young girls, ladies. Come, we pray. Like she was building something for women. So I am watching LTV, and Pastor Jessica Kayanja is preaching. She's talking about a ministry for women. Come every So I went to Girl Power, hoping that if all goes well, I would convince Pastor Jessica to adopt my child. And by the way, my second born is called Jessica.
Aww.
So the first time I went there, I found a very long queue at Miracle Center.
Ready to see her.
Ready to see her. And because I used to put a maroon scarf around myself, you would not tell that I'm pregnant. So I waited in the queue, and I got tired. So I went back home and I said, let me wait for the next Tuesday. So the next Tuesday, I go very early. But I think there's a lady. She was Madame Jessica's personal assistant called Pearl. So Pearl, I think, had noticed me the other time. And I think she could tell that I was pregnant. So this time when I came, she immediately got my hand and said, come, I get you to see Ma. Okay. So this is the day I get to meet Pastor Jessica. I sit down and tell her my story. But while I was telling her my story, I did not mention that I had a first child. I was very sure that would be the first turn off. Like, so you messed up already?
Yeah, so you tried to...
So I told her my story without the part of her ever having a child.
Okay.
So this is my first baby. I am stuck. I've run away from home. I think I even told her they chased me from home, something. So she looks at me. That's a spirit-filled woman. I don't know what I was thinking to lie. And she just says, Sandra, you are so beautiful.
Aww.
And to date, I keep saying that those words watered the dead plant in me. I have never in my life felt as special as that day. That's the power of words. But also being at a point where you feel filthy, you feel guilty, you're embarrassed, you're ashamed, and then you express yourself to this person and all she has seen is your beauty. Actually, in my mind, I was like, this must be a joke. Like all I have said And she said, you're very beautiful and you have very nice English. And she said, but anyway, we are going to journey together. Coming from Pastor Jessica, you people know her. Like, how do we journey this together, really?
Yeah.
And she's like, we're going to go through this together. We're going to have that child and all is going to be well. So she gave me a place of comfort. And I want to be honest with you, she made me believe God is there. Yeah, you know, they say Christians, we are the first Bible and non-believers who will read.
Yes.
She did that for me. I saw Jesus through her before I actually got born again.
Wow.
So she tells me, I'm going to hand you over to a lady called Julia, Auntie Julia, and we're going to see how our way. There's a way. Don't worry. It seemed impossible.
At this point, you're still in Chikoni.
I'm still in Chikoni. My family has probably either given up or has let me be.
They're giving you time.
Yeah, and I have also distanced myself from them. I don't see myself ever going back. Like, this is now a new life.
Yeah.
I don't know what is going to happen, but that's a chapter closed.
What is going on about your son that you left?
I knew he was well.
Okay.
I knew he was in the right hands. It's not that it's taking someone for granted, but it's knowing how much my godmother loves me. If she loves me that much, what more won't she?
I think it's also important for us to choose godmothers for our children, like to be intentional.
Very, very, very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
To see that she still played her role in the absence of her sister.
Yeah.
She didn't have to.
Even in the times where you have disappointed, but she
carried the shame with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't have to, honestly. So Pastor Jessica tells me, I'm handing you over to Julia. I go back to Chikoni. They told me, we're going to buy you the basics. We keep in touch, keep coming for fellowship. She says, you're my child now. Yeah, up to now, Miracle Center knows that me, I'm Mama's daughter. They're like, oh, you're mwala wa mami. Yeah, and I found so much favor before Pastor Jessica. For a minute, I thought, because, you know, when someone is pregnant, you try your best to be nice.
So you're waiting for that season.
So I thought maybe she's shielding me. Once I have this child, we're going to sit back on that table and now I'm going to see another Pastor Jessica. But it's been 16 years.
Wow, she's walked the journey with you.
Never changed. She's one I would call on a daily. She's one I would call at midnight. Mommy, pray for me. I've had a bad dream.
Wow.
And this is someone people hardly access.
Yes.
But that is who she is in my life. And I thank God for her. And they take care of me. They take me to Mengo Hospital, pay bills and everything. But while all this was going on, Pastor Jessica goes and tries to do background check on me.
Oh.
Yeah, like, who is this girl?
Oh.
Where does she come from? What's her actual story?
This is after she has seen through you.
Yes. And I don't know.
But she hasn't yet told you.
No, I don't know. So she gets to know. And she does not mention until I go ahead and have my child. Now, another thing that I would like to highlight, it was hardly a year. I think because I gave birth to my son in 2006. I gave birth to my daughter in 2008.
Yeah.
Hardly.
Yeah. Because remember the months of pregnancy.
Yeah. So it was a C-section, my first child. So they take, the day comes and I'm going to, Pastor Jessica has done her research and people have told her that girl comes from a powerful family. You don't know what you're getting yourself into.
Wow.
If anything happens to Sandra, her blood is on you.
Oh.
Yeah, like, and they can afford her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can afford to take care of her.
Yeah, so who do you think you are?
Oh.
That you're stepping into their shoes. And Pastor Jessica has a ministry, Girl Power Ministries, and they have a committee. And I'm told they sat as a committee and they convinced her. And they told her, Nyabu, chino cheweta demu, this that you're putting yourself into
Yeah.
is going to get you in a lot of trouble.
Oh.
And one of the committee members, she's called Rosa, she keeps saying, I remember vividly Pastor Jessica's words. She was like, you people, I am going to stick with Sandra. Whether her family takes her back or not, I am going all the way in with this girl.
Favor.
And they kept saying, what's so special about this girl? Because Girl Power Ministry takes care of girls from all walks of life. But there is no one, maybe later after me, that had found that much favor before Pastor Jessica. Pastor Robert Kayanja keeps saying, you're Mama's daughter. You and her? There's something special.
Amen.
So she says, no, I'm in. I'm going to go with her. She's going to have this child. Let's first have that child. Then we'll come back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
And the day I was going to have Jessica, I woke up feeling, because it was not my first time, I could tell.
Yeah.
So I call this, they get a nurse, they tell me, come to.
Okay, so at this point, are you still staying in Chikoni?
Yes. That very morning, I left Chikoni in the morning. I remember Irene woke up and went to school. I packed my bags and went to Miracle Center.
First, wait. So also, Irene has not asked you.
Now she knows.
She sees.
Now she knows, she sees, and she's taking good care of me. But she has not asked about the person responsible. She has not asked about my family, and she knew my family. She was just that sister that God brought at the right moment. And I go to Miracle Center. Of course, Pastor Jessica is aware. I'm expecting. She calls Pastor Robert Kayanja. He comes to church very early in the morning, 9 a.m.
Wow.
Yes, when I talk about it now, it gives me goosebumps. Who am I that Pastor Robert Kayanja leaves his house?
Wow.
Oh, I'm going to Miracle Center.
Like the whole church is like, yes, she's having a child.
What a God. So yes, they take me to his office and he prays for me and he says, you're going to have a normal birth. Because I knew that this was not my first child, as they thought. And because I knew that this was hardly, actually, if you go back to science, it could not have happened. I could have got a rupture.
Yes.
It's as close as impossible.
Yes.
So that was one of the things he said, and I said, I'm about to see who your God is. Because I knew for a fact I could not have a normal birth. So we pray, and they whisk me off to Mengo Hospital. And Pastor Jessica waits and waits. I'm still in labor. Then she goes home, and I think she had just got home at night at about 2 a.m. I get into labor. I had less than an hour.
You had your child.
I push out baby Jessica.
Aww.
And then they call her and they're like, Muzukulu wa Jessica. She came rushing. She's like, wow.
In the middle of the night.
What a
Aren't
God.
you favored?
I am so favored. And I saw a sigh of relief on Pastor Jessica's face of, first step done. Meanwhile, all this time, she now knows my whole story. She has got in touch with my relatives.
Yeah, but she hasn't yet told
She
you
has
that
even
she
got
knows.
in touch with my dad.
But does she know that? Has she told you
She
that?
has not mentioned anything. So I give birth. I stay in hospital for a few days. They take me to a hotel. They give me a caretaker.
Wow.
Yeah. I stay there for a few days as they're preparing to now bring me back
With
and
your family.
break the news to me that, you know what, we know the whole story and this is what we're going to do. I remember that meeting very well because in that moment I felt like Pastor Jessica had betrayed me.
Aww.
Yeah. So we sit in a meeting, my big sister was present, and they're like, Sandra, we know your story, and we are willing to still journey with you, and we feel like there's a lot more after this. This is not the end of the world, but this is something that I've learned, that I get to learn every day as a Christian. You can never have something fruitful without reconciling with your family. Yeah. I learned that from Pastor Jessica. She was like, I can give you the world you want. I can take care of this child. There's nothing I'm not able to do. But for as long as you've not reconciled with your family, we are playing games.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like, by reconcile with my family, I can write an apology letter, they take it there. I can call them and just say, sorry, I'm not ready to go back and face them. I am scared.
You're also the shame, the guilt.
Yeah.
And all that.
Yeah, and then now I also have to take this child through that phase to make her feel like she's an outcast. How is this going to happen? So my sister is present, and then they say, you take her back. And I remember my sister that day, she was like, she cannot come to my home. She will have to go back to her dad's house.
Oh.
And I felt bad. It's one of the things I don't think I was ready to do. Yeah, I was afraid. It would have been easy if it was me alone, but here,
With that child.
with a very innocent child.
So you were afraid because what? You thought your dad would beat you?
Okay, that's a
The
very
guilt.
good. I was afraid because of not being certain of what is there. It's okay if you know that I'm just going to go and get beaten and that's all. But you're scared.
Yeah. You did not know what to expect.
Yeah. I have not seen my son in months. I hardly know what he eats or where he sleeps. I know he's okay, but so I sleep over it. Then the next day, we get into the car with Pastor Jessica. She did not say, Sandra, bye. No.
She went with
She
you.
took me herself.
Wow.
Yeah. And we got to my dad's house. And she said, Sandra, this is your home. I will always be your mother. Church loves you. We love you. But this is where you belong. And I swear I was like, no, take me with you.
You actually told that to her?
Yes, I clinged onto her. She said, no, this is where you belong. And I felt bad, but yeah, she left me. So that was now a whole new phase, a whole new chapter. I'm beginning life again, this time with scars, with shame, with pain, with confusion and frustration.
But how is your dad towards you in this moment?
My dad received me. He has never asked me, where were you? What happened? Nothing.
And he received Jessica?
He received me, he received Jessica with so much love. He took care of us.
So it's up to you how to do work within yourself.
Exactly. He gave me that chance of, I'm going to do my best. It's entirely up to you.
Yeah.
It is entirely up to you. And for me, I think that also ignited something in me. Like, he still has hope in me.
Yeah.
Ideally, I would imagine he would be like, do what you want. Yeah, I see nothing in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he gave me a chance. He loved my children. And I stayed with him for a year.
Okay.
After a year, I think he gave me that time to heal. That time was so sensitive. I didn't know what he was going through. He had no idea what I was going through. And after a year, he called me and said, Sandra, do you still want to go back to school? I don't know any parent that can do that. Yeah, I when I'm doing school outreaches, I keep telling children, me, I was given a second chance. I don't know.
But also second chances look different for other people.
Exactly.
Yours came in that way,
Yes.
for others it can be.
Exactly. And for having a parent who never gives up on you,
Yeah.
and this is to parents.
To parents.
Never give up on that child. Pray for them. Never give up on that child. So he said, are you ready to go back to school? I remember he called some of my relatives, because I am not that child who has been brought up by one parent. Those children that were raised by a community.
Village.
Yes. So when it's a decision to be made, they'll call auntie so and so, even the other auntie, and So he called, and one of my relatives said, I highly doubt Sandra will manage. The best thing you can do for her, take her to Kabali. I come from Kabali. She can either do like a nursing course or do life there. I think it's also okay if she goes through whatever she goes through there. It does not impact so much on us here. They don't see her and say, hey, your niece, your...
given up on
Yeah,
you.
I remember very well. That's what one of the relatives had advised my dad. And he said, no, I'm going to ask her. Let her word go against her.
Yeah, bless him.
And I said, Daddy, I'm going to go back to school. He said, are you sure?
Now you had...
I am going back to school.
You had also sat and...
No, I had what parents saying, you will see the world. I had seen the world. I had seen the world. I had seen the difference between black and white. I had seen. So I said, Daddy, I'm going back to school. And guess what? So he says, okay. He goes and gets me at school, and I'm ready to go back to school. So I take Jessica to live with my auntie.
Your godmother?
No, my other auntie. One. Yeah, that's why I've told you my mom's family has been so solid with me. Yeah, I am who I am because of those people.
Amen.
So I leave Jessica there, and she was so attached to me. Yeah. So I decided I'm going to school. And now when I'm sharing my story, all my classmates then are in shock. Because when I went back to school, Rachel,
you didn't look like you.
I became a student.
Wow.
I put on a uniform and said, Sandra, first for a minute, forget that you have someone. Forget that there's a child. Of course, I would miss them.
Yeah.
My emotions played with me, but I said, for my dad, I'm going to study.
And relationships?
I quit. I said, I am
didn't
going
even
to
not hear
study.
anyone.
I am going to study. No, actually, it affected me in a way that I thought men will always be a joke. Yeah, for a long time. In fact, my husband struggled. Yeah. So I focused, did senior 5, did senior 6, finished. This is my thought. I think the day I finished, my dad was like,
at least the senior 6 is done.
It's news. Okay, at least we'll finish senior 6. If they ever shame her somewhere, they'll say she's...
at least she's a senior 6 leaver.
Yeah. So I finished my senior 6. And by the way, society does not stop watching. Like, let's see how far she can go. I was sharing with a friend and I told her, no one knows what you're capable of more than the devil.
Yeah.
He knows your power, Rachel. He knows, and he says, let me see.
He even knows what's ahead for you. So he tries
it's like, I pray Rachel never comes out of that circle to see. So I focused, finished senior 6, went to Uganda Christian University.
Okay.
Yeah. And that I did for my kids. That one time when they are seated somewhere, no one will laugh at them that your mom is a school dropout. Yeah, I said that I did for my kids. And now they were growing.
But well done.
And we had not, I was scared now that I had not had that intimate relationship with them as children. So I said, will they ever know me or acknowledge me as mommy? In fact, all my nieces and friends call me Mommy Sandra or Mama Sandy. It came from that. They used to call me Sandra, then I would be like, cousin, mom. Then they said, hey, okay, Mommy Sandra. So that's how it came up. Yeah.
Okay.
So I go to university, study, and now I'm doing it for my children. I'm like, I'm going to finish, and then I'll see life after. And all this while, by the way, Pastor Jessica is praying for me, and she keeps telling me, you're anointed for greatness.
Amen.
You don't know.
Wow.
And
I think in that moment you're thinking, which greatness?
I could never see it.
What is she talking about?
I could never see it. So in my second year, that's when I met my husband. Through a mutual friend. So this guy comes and falls in love with my children. And I'm like, I know that old
friend
trick.
In the beginning.
He's my mutual friend, single.
Yes.
Never married, no children. Okay, lawyer by profession. Okay, that sounds too good to be true. Then he comes and falls in love with my
your
children. Please note.
Wow.
Then in my heart, I'm like, I know that trick so
strategy.
well. But you missed.
Yeah.
You missed. So I keep telling people that the day I fell in love with my husband was the day my son came and said, Mommy, is it okay if we call Uncle Julian Daddy?
Oh.
Because these are kids that had never known Daddy in their life.
Oh.
They knew Uncle because my brothers really played a good role. Yeah, for them, uncles are their heroes.
Yeah.
So for this little boy, he was
so they spent some time together.
Yeah, we're dating.
Oh, at that point.
Yeah, we're dating.
Okay, but you didn't see it into marriage.
No.
You were just like,
That's why I said I felt like he was using that trick to get to me.
Yeah.
But I said the least I can do, I'll eat your money, and we'll go on dates. And
yeah.
So until that day when my son asked me that, and I said, this boy, he was in P2. What? How has he even envisioned a daddy?
Yeah, innocent
this man. Yeah. That is the day I fell in love with him. And then one thing led to another. In my third year, I was doing mass communication.
Yeah.
He proposes.
Oh.
He proposes and he says, I'm going to marry you.
And what was your...
Now, it was okay for me to find a man at campus. All was well. Until when he proposed. And then I started hearing small talks of, no, he deserves better. Yeah. You know, this also goes to show that when you go through things in life, the devil marks you. He gives you names. So when you achieve something, he comes back to remind you.
Oh, wow.
You can't accomplish. It's okay. It's okay for you to find a man at campus and he loves your children, but it's not okay for him to marry you.
Because marriage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he proposes, and then I'm like, okay. And to be honest, I also felt like I didn't deserve him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
for a long time.
Wow.
I felt like, no.
You had no self-worth.
This trophy cannot be mine. My esteem had gone down the drain a long time ago.
You're thinking, who would love this too?
Nothing.
So I'm a mother with 2 children.
So I tell my dad, and for me, I'm using this opportunity to give him that platform for him to be seen and people to say, thank you, your daughter is married. For me to bring something nice to him.
Yes. Oh.
So we are happy, we are arranging, and then this is the one thing that happened that still shocks me, but also reminds me of how much a parent will stick with you till the end. So they're discussing bride price, I'm told.
Yeah.
And then someone goes like, we don't have to, you know, in our culture where you discuss cows, my husband is Muganda. And then someone is like, don't burden the man. She already has kids.
She already has 2 children.
If he can take, in other words. And I'm told my dad said, you know what? Go look for a woman without children.
Wow.
Leave her alone. If that is the fact, I am better off with my daughter.
Wow.
Yeah. Go look for one without children. Why am I bringing this up? I want to put this out as a message to single mothers. Having a child has never made you anything less.
Yeah.
If anything, there is a lot more that you have, that you carry.
Yeah.
It should be a better thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you for that.
So, eventually they discuss bride price and I get married.
I like how your dad stood by you the whole time, Sandra.
He's one special man. So I get married, and then I was pregnant with my 3rd born.
Okay.
We get into a family, and we are now 6.
Oh, wow.
And God has elevated himself over and above.
Yeah.
And that's why I go to schools and share my story in hope that someone changes, someone is inspired.
But it's such a powerful testimony, Sandra, of hope, of restoration, of transformation. It is so powerful.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're able to share it with children, especially, and single mothers as well.
Yeah. And if you ask me what I would tell anyone out there,
exactly, that was my next.
The devil has nothing on you. Mine was a teenage mother. There's one who has lost a child. There's one who's barren. There's one who divorced. It's a lot. But the devil has nothing on you. You can pick yourself up right there where you are and start again. The choice is entirely up to you. I was given a chance, but the choice was mine. I could have decided and said I'm not going back to school. If I'm stuck here, this is where it ends. And the glory always goes back to God.
Amen.
I am who I am and who I'll ever be by the grace of God. And the grace has kept me on the streets, in the churches. The grace of God
has kept you.
That's where I flourish.
Oh wow. Thank you so much, Sandra.
Thank you too for having me.
I have been blessed. I don't know about you, and this is not my first time listening to this testimony, but every time I listen to it, there's a way it re-energizes me, because it's not only specific to such a time of being a teenage mom, but in whatever situation in your life, God is a God of restoration. He's a God of transformation. He restores back what the enemy stole, back what the locusts ate.
He rewrites your story.
So thank you, Sandra.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you so much
for this ministry.
Amen.
Amen. God bless you.
Amen. Amen. I hope you liked this video. If you did, kindly leave a thumbs up. It helps the channel, but also helps the video to reach so many other people. If you haven't yet, kindly subscribe to this channel. We thank God, and all these testimonies, we give God back the glory. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.